Good morning. Good morning. We'll give it just a few minutes here as everyone is joining in. We'd like to say welcome and good morning to you today. Hopefully you can hear me well. If I can, from one of my panelists, if I can just get a thumbs up or a message in the chat that audio is going well. Awesome. Thank you there, Paul. All right, I just want to do a small little plug as everyone's starting to roll in here. We had a wonderful breakfast chat this morning. I just wanted to say thank you for everyone that joined. Thank you for your transparency. We had really, really good conversation about ways that we can help continue to spread the LSAP message and leverage this wonderful community that we have. We also had the wonderful Dr. Nguyen able to share some of the resources that our students have. And as we are just coming in, I wanted to make sure that everybody knows that please, if you're not, we got to get you on the email list. Deb and the LSMRCE family, they send a ton of communication about opportunities for our students. And we just want to make sure that you're on those email lists so you are getting the up-to-date and latest information about scholarships, about job opportunities, and internships. Awesome. And before we get going, Carmel, if we can just do a quick audio check for you.
Hello, good morning, or almost afternoon.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you so much. And you'll be kicking us off here in a second, and then we'll Cortez, you'll be number 2 this time now. All right, so as we get started on day 2 of our conference, once again, we want to say welcome to our 30th year anniversary for the LSAMP Alliances. For those that have never attended, this is our annual LSMRCE and conference. We look forward next year to this being our last virtual conference, because those that have experienced it with us in the past, you know how powerful the connections we build and the impact that we leave when we're in person. But the team has done a really good job of setting up another virtual conference for us this year. And hopefully yesterday you had a wonderful day 1 to the conference. And we're already off to a good start with our morning breakfast. And we have some really big announcements for you this morning. And then also a dynamic speaker that'll be leading us off and kicking us off on day 2 today. One thing that I wanted to start with is just making sure that you are leveraging every bit of this conference. I'll continue to plug the attendees section of the Whova app. The attendees section in the Whova app, it allows for you to search everybody that came to the conference. It also will allow for you to dissect it by interest, by location, by university, etc. And I just want to challenge you as students and faculty to make sure that we're leveraging the connection opportunities that we have with this conference this year. So without further ado, we'll go ahead and get ourselves kick-started on day 2 here. And we're going to start off with Carmel Thomas, who's going to be presenting some wonderful opportunities that our students already leveraged last year from Eaton Corporation and the job opportunities that they have for us.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you very well. Okay.
I have one slide. I'm going to share my screen very quickly. And really want to make sure I share this opportunity. So some of the attendees were able to come out yesterday and hear more about it, but over the last 3 years, Eaton Corporation has partnered with LSAMP to really look at how we engage students, and our relationship has grown. We took a break.
Okay, We
scale.
Okay, Carmel, could you take a step back to starting that over for us? There was a gap in the communication.
Sure. Looks like my internet is a little shaky here. So as I mentioned, Eaton Corporation has partnered with LSAMP and the Midwest Center of Excellence to offer professional development, mentoring, and tutelage, in addition to internship opportunities. Our relationship started in 2018. I am an advisory board member for the Midwest Center of Excellence, and as I began my career with Eaton, we really got engaged at looking at how we can tap into this pipeline of STEM talent and help to give them exposure to potential career opportunities in corporate America. And so our relationship has grown. We've had about 5 events over the past 3 years where we've invited students in and we've given them an opportunity to talk to our employees with PhDs, as well as various employees in all different fields. So whether they're STEM, whether they're HR, we have opportunities across the board, and we really allow them to speak with our employees. We have about 356 employees with PhDs, and we'll be leveraging all of our employee base over the week. I know my time is short here, so I just want to highlight a couple of things. There's a QR code at the top of the screen where we invite you to register and get involved. We'll use this information to share the details of the week, where we'll be having virtual and co-located events. So some of the experience centers will be opening our doors on a very small scale to students. We hope to be able to open our doors more widely next year as we get through this pandemic. But overall, I wanted to highlight that we are hiring. We have internships, full-time opportunities, and co-ops. So please visit our booth. And this is just a snapshot of the week of November 15th, where we'll be sharing virtual and on-site events with the organization. So again, I don't want to take too much of your time, just excited to build our opportunity. I do have some additional details in the Eaton booth, but please, if you have any questions, we're looking to continue our partnership and to build and make sure that we're serving the student population as well as the scholars and staff. So thank you for this opportunity to talk to you today.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carmel. I just give a bit of feedback. We have had students already leverage these opportunities, and we look forward to our next round of students and starting to kind of build this pipeline of Eaton and LSMRCE and LSAMP Alliance, and just start to continue to build this relationship. I'll just put a plug in there for those that are like, oh, I don't know if I want to intern with Eaton and all this. My entire career started with an Eaton internship. Weird how life kind of comes around full circle. But my first internship when I was in college as an industrial engineer, lean manufacturing engineer, was with Eaton Corporation. So it's just a really good company, really awesome opportunity. And I thank you, Carmel, for your leadership and your partnership with the LSAMP community, because this is going to help change one of our students' lives or multiple students' lives. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you.
All right, and we'll transition over to Mr. Cortez Watkins, who is going to be providing us more detail about the Fermilab opportunities that we have. Come on in, Cortez.
Hello, good morning, Brian and everyone at the conference. My name is Cortez Watkins. I'm the workforce liaison for development at Fermi National Accelerator Laboratory. So happy to be here today. My background is in engineering and physics, and what I want to share with you all, I know we have just a short amount of time, what I want to share with you all is a special opportunity directly for the participants here. We have our summer internships in science and technology, and for short, it's called SIS. And essentially, it helps undergraduate sophomores and juniors majoring in physics, engineering, mechanical, electrical, and computer science, material science, mathematics, all have research opportunities with Fermilab scientists and engineers. Eligible students must be enrolled in four-year colleges and universities throughout the United States. But just specifically for this conference, we've opened up the internship starting yesterday for all of the participants to actually apply. A couple other opportunities I would like to highlight is that we just established a new fellowship directly for accelerated engineering science for minority students, and it's called Aspire. And that will give students within the Midwestern region an opportunity to actually learn more about accelerated engineering as well as accelerator science, and partner with Fermilab for those opportunities. Another opportunity that we do have at Fermilab is our science undergraduate laboratory internship, as well as our SQMS internship, which is for quantum science. So we have a host of opportunities for students. We really are making sure that we're intentional about hiring students of color and make sure that we are exposing you all to as many opportunities as possible. We're hoping that that the opportunities will be in person, just depending on the pandemic, but we have continued to offer our internships even virtually for students over the past couple of summers. So we look forward to partnering with you all and helping you all research and learn more about Fermilab. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Cortez. I'll once again, I'm gonna give another plug. I've worked with Fermilab over the years. I've also gotten to know Cortez as well, and his heart and his passion towards this topic. I have my wife was a Fermilab student in high school, doing the summer their summer high school program. So I personally understand the value, and I've seen our students that have gone through this internship and the impact that it has on their lives. It's a really good opportunity, and I challenge you to make sure that you take some time today to start putting together your plan of action to put together the best application process, put together the best application for the job. One thing that we also do, Cortez, with the LSMRCE family, is we actually put together support systems for our students who are interested in applying for these jobs. Our students actually get a chance to get help along the way, and Deb usually coordinates that with us to make sure that we're supporting them and making sure that they're putting together their best package of information, and they do the best interview possible for this internship.
Well, we look forward to partnering with you all and making it happen for as many students as possible. So thank you for the opportunity.
No problem. Awesome. I'm just going to throw it out there. There's a question in the audience. Deb, I'm not sure how we get that question from one of our students, but if you're able to get that before we start our keynote, I would greatly appreciate it. It's from Della, DELA, and then we'll try to get that answered before we start our keynote. But we'll transition over to Mr. Paul Ferrambi. Paul will be speaking on our NALA organization. Come on in, Paul.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Can everyone hear me all right?
Yep, you're all good, Paul.
All right. Thank you. I'll go real quick, but I'm also going to be at the resource fair as well. But we just talked about this at the morning session if you were here as well, but add some more visuals to it as well. So just our mission statement that we want to unite LSAM alumni nationwide to create a diverse STEM community that's well poised to provide support to current undergraduate students. So everything that we're doing is helping current undergraduate students, and we're uniting ourselves as LSAM alumni in order to do this. So that's our backbone, that's our mission, purpose. And our purpose, threefold: giving back to current students, creating a network for ourselves as LSAM alumni, and supporting any existing alumni groups, as well as an experience pool of resources. So conferences like this, or at different workshops, webinars, we've been able to do a lot of stuff for the last year, and we're super excited that we continue to grow and expand. And we'd love to get connected with you as well. So just a quick picture of who we are, what we're doing. You see myself listed there, as well as Lizette, also from Inspire. So both of us are from Inspire Alliance. Dr. Anna from Oklahoma Alliance, Jose from Puerto Rico, Nye from Kentucky, West Virginia, Aaron from Illinois, and Dr. Decatur from Portland State. So good diversity in our alliance participation, as well as for committee members, Adrian from Oklahoma and Dominique from Garden State. So just highlight some of the people making this run. So it's truly a team effort, and just it's a pleasure for all of us to be here at this conference. So we're in STEM, so we love data. Just a breakdown as far as who we are, as far as different alliances. So background is Inspire is what started it, so that's our highest. So I would challenge all of you guys to get more people from your alliance involved. You could make kind of a competition, get more people involved from your alliance, and let's just all grow together and create a better community for ourselves as alumni. And here's a map of where we are across the continental United States. And over on the right is kind of a frequency as far as where we are. So see, we're mainly concentrated in the Midwest and on the East Coast, and some opportunities to grow, definitely. Some more visuals as far as our status and what we are as far as different jobs and titles that we currently have. I'll talk briefly about our services. So some of the stuff that we've been doing with mentorship. So our mentorship program is launching. We're currently in the process of matching people. I have a lot of interest. So the final number was 75 students that filled out the form, and we've already matched them, just working through making sure our mentors are prepared. And so we'll begin that early November, and that'll continue through the rest of the school year. So we made the decision to make the mentorship a lot longer as opposed to just a few months to develop deeper relationships. Also, we participate in different panels, alumni recruiting as well, just to make sure people know about us. Like I said, we are very new. So we launched last October 1st of 2020, right before the last LSMRCE conference. We had about 24 people then, and we're up to 178 now. So we've been growing rapidly, and we know we're only going to grow more just as we continue to build out this community. I'll make a quick plug that we have our next virtual town hall coming up. So this flyer is brand new. No one else has seen it yet. You guys first ones to see it. So we have quarterly town halls just for our time as alumni and everyone interested in learning more about us as NALA to get connected. We're going to have a speaker who is an engineer but does a lot of stuff in the leadership aspect of things. So he's going to be talking about being more than your career. So we're really excited about that. We'll have some time for networking and some updates, ways to get involved with NALA, and the times are listed there. And I also have a list of all our links. I know I went really quickly, but we'll be at the resource fair at 3 p.m. Eastern. If you scan that QR code, that will go to our link tree, which has a lot of links as far as to get involved if you want to sign up for the town hall or different ways to stay connected with us. All right. So I know I went through that pretty quick, but I'll make sure there's time for the speaker. So I'll see you at the resource fair.
Yeah, thank you so much, Paul. And just want to give you a plug with NALA. Paul and I connected when he was a student 7 years ago at this conference in Chicago, where we'll be next year. Now he's graduated, doing big things in corporate America, and now leading the alumni group. So for those that don't know, the power of the network, the power of building those relationships. Paul was like a sophomore back then or something, college, and he came to one of my workshops.
Yeah.
We've been connected all of these years later. And so just want you to know that you are going to build some connections at this conference that could be with you for many years to come. We had a student yesterday that said that, the power of networking with your peers at this conference is amazing. So just wanted to plug that and really thank you for your efforts there. We do have one quick update before our keynote speaker takes over today. Carmel is going to come back in and show our Eden video in one slide.
Yes, thank you for letting me come back in. I apologize for not having this up, but I did want to show the evolution of the partnership with the team and to make sure you understand and understand how we're looking to impact. I welcome any feedback. Some people have already chatted me in the messaging session. So please, if you're looking to get involved and to benefit from your student population from this partnership, I welcome that feedback. But really, we're looking at cultivating that STEM pipeline through the partnership and making sure that students can see reflections of themselves in the workforce. Similar to the gentleman with the Fermilab opportunities, we've had almost 230 attendees thus far over the past couple of years. And we always want to make sure that we're not only bringing our events, but we're tapping into the different opportunities that LSM provides. And so things like the summer speaker series, things like some of your research fairs that you have on campus, we're very happy to be involved with that and looking to build that. And so I wanted to show a couple pictures over the years of what we've had. And so we've had as many as 60 or 70 in some of our facilities. And of course, with COVID, we pulled back on that. And so my last thing I want to show you is our video from our Eaton Center event, which is in Cleveland, Ohio. And let me pull that video up, switch to my screen here. And this video is available to anyone who wants to view it. It's on YouTube and it belongs to the LSMRCE. So definitely can learn from it and share this widely. And let me just make sure I share my audio. Share sound. All right. So I'm going to cue this up.
I'm Power 5 meteorologist Ramisha Shade. We can celebrate. We made it to Friday.
Now we're watching a cold front now work its way into the picture.
I'm not sure if the audio is coming through for everyone, but we'll just be flexible with that, and we'll make sure that the link is sent out. But you definitely can get the message from the video. You can hear it there? Awesome. Perfect. We're still here. We got confirmation some people can't hear it.
Thank you. Okay.
So bringing students to Eaton Corporation's headquarters for various visits is an opportunity for us at the Lewis Stokes Midwest Regional Center of Excellence to partner with the LSAMP alliances around the Midwest and allow students hands-on experiences with the work in industry.
I would completely recommend other students, like 100% to come here. Even if you're not part of STEM, just come here and learn about like what Eaton does and just get your mind blown a little bit.
Building the partnership between industry and academia is one way of broadening the participation and let the student know that their pathway to the STEM career is multidimensional. And this opportunity today have exposed the student not only the pathway and the option they may have in their career in STEM, but it also reinforced that it is possible.
I enjoyed my time this morning and this afternoon at Eaton Corporation because I was able to connect with real Eaton employees and understand why they work here for the culture and to understand the perseverance and determination it takes to be like somebody in their shoes.
The value for an experience like this for students who are interested in any area of STEM is phenomenal. I think back when I was a student as an undergraduate, and I never ever had the experience of really seeing myself in a position or understanding the possibilities of where I could go.
We recognize that students often think about science careers or engineering careers as quite abstract, but bringing them here to Eaton provides an opportunity where they can see what folks who look like them are doing day in and day out, and not just imagining what's possible in this work.
So again, wanted to make sure I shared that with you to give you a snapshot of what the Eaton experience is really about. And this was one of our facilities, our North American headquarters. And one of the differences from what we'll have this summer or this fall, excuse me, is that the center that they're going in is very technically built out. And so some of the circuits that they'll engage in will directly align with their learnings and what they're studying. And so again, if you're interested, please reach out. Again, this year will be a small scale, but hopefully as we get past the pandemic, we can open our doors again to a larger population. And in order to combat that, we're also offering a lot of virtual content this weekend. And so take a look at our booth, register, bring your students, and reach out if you're interested. So thank you for letting me jump back in there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Carmel, for your efforts there. All right. So the man of the hour, we are not going to get too much into his introduction so he can be able to share himself. But we have hailing from our Chicagoland area, Dr. Hampton Marcel. If you can go ahead and come off mute and get your audio in, the show is yours, sir. So welcome to our annual conference. And thank you for being our keynote today during our 30th year celebration.
Hi, can everybody hear me?
Audio's awesome.
Okay, awesome. Let me go ahead and share my screen really quick. Let's see. All right, so a quick introduction about myself, just so everybody can get familiar with me. So my name is Dr. Jared Hampton Marcel. I'm an assistant professor at the University of Illinois at Chicago. I'm in the Department of Biological Sciences, and my lab actually starts in fall 2022. A little bit about myself. So I got my undergrad in molecular cellular biology at Urbana-Champaign, as well as my master's in integrative biology. After that time, I took a little time off, ended up working at Argonne National Lab for about 10 years. Back in 2015, I ended up starting my doctoral degree at UIC, which was in computational biology. Spent time at University of Chicago, co-founder of Save Our Scalps, which is basically an initiative to look at African-American hair and study the underlying patterns to baldness. And I'm also a director of athlete research for the Hero Foundation, which is a nonprofit sports performance foundation in Chicago. 25 publications, been featured in Chicago Tribune, Time Magazine, other public presses. I was also named Crane Chicago Business 20 most influential people in their 20s back in 2015. So look, enough about myself. I want to talk to you more about kind of what I do, why I'm here, my role to STEM, what got me into the work that I'm doing nowadays. So I want to give you kind of a roadmap to the story that I'm going to lay out. So back in 2009, I actually went to school to play football rather than to study STEM. I thought I was going to be a medical practitioner at one point in time. So got hurt. The easiest way I can explain it is that the sole of my foot was in my face. So my career aspirations changed dramatically. Still, I ended up having a tryout, which then was with the St. Louis Rams at the time. Once they got my medical examination back, they found out that my leg was no good. So I took a pivot during that time. I had always had an interest in science in some capacity. Then I ended up getting my master's. After I finished my master's, I ended up starting at Argonne National Lab in 2011. 2015, my advisor actually pushed me into doing my PhD, which I finished in 2020. And instead of going into the workforce, I was actually offered a job by Gatorade Sports Science Institute. I turned them down, which was my dream job at the time, and ended up starting a bridge to faculty position. Now I'm getting ready to start my lab next year, which will be, well, I won't give the number, but I'll talk about a little bit about what I'm doing. So let's talk about my experiences to start. Like I said, I went to school to play football. So every day I was up at 4 o'clock in the morning going to practice. This was literally our practice facility. We had practice at 5 a.m. every day. After practice, it was on to the lecture hall. This was actually the first class I ever had was in this lecture hall. It fit 300 students. It was a molecular and cellular biology class 150. And this kind of sparked my love for getting into STEM, being in science. After that, it was back to practice. It was workouts, it was training, it was weights and all of that good stuff. And then, I had to be a student. So I was at the academic center doing my homework till about 9 o'clock. After 9 o'clock, I was at my room till about 3 in the morning, 2 in the morning. And this is literally a picture of my dorm when I was in college. As you can see, I like to point out by the TV, there's a little thing facing the window. So we didn't have AC at the time. So we used to get a lot of flies and a lot of mosquitoes. So we ended up stealing a bug zapper out of the lunch hall and put it in our dorm so that, we wasn't getting bit up at night. I mean, ingenuity, right? I mean, you can see the umbrella standing up in my roommate's bed. I mean, a really clean dorm. I mean, for 3 guys living in a room together, I would say we were exceptionally clean, right? But during this time when I got hurt, I actually ended up finding an interest in research. So one of the first labs that I got involved in was a gentleman by the name of Dr. Milan Bacci. He was looking for a summer intern at the time. I didn't want to go home, so it was kind of a perfect fit, right? Do science, not go home, stay on campus, don't have to listen to my parents. But one of the crazy ideas that I had at the time was that I knew I wanted to have kids at some point, but I wanted to have all boys. So me just thinking about what I'm interested in and what I like, my thought was, what if I could make all male sperm? And what if I could create a drug or a hormone or identify the pathway? I then can make like a ton of football players, right? I could have like 10 kids. Like at the time I was tripping. 10 kids, like I got 3 and 3 feels like 200. But I ended up working on this during my undergrad. It didn't work out, obviously, because I was still learning at the time. But the good part about this experience was that my mentor at the time actually let me explore my ideas and showed me the directions that I needed to take in order to get at solving the answer, even though the answer was completely wrong. After that, I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. Ended up getting involved in stem cell research. So I met a lady by the name of Sears. She showed me basically a picture of a gentleman who cut his finger off and it grew back. And I became fascinated with understanding the mechanisms behind why this was able to happen. So at the time, I couldn't go around asking to cut people fingers off, and ask them to grow back. I mean, it's not gonna happen. I wasn't gonna get a lot of volunteers. But we had a pig farm at Urbana-Champaign. And they basically have these digits that act like fingers. They're called dew claws. They're digits 2 and 5. So I ended up going to a pig farm, ended up grabbing a bunch of baby pigs, ended up cutting feet off a whole bunch of times and looking at the womb response and trying to look at this one pathway to see if I could decellularize their tissue and then drive them back into regeneration. Needless to say, that didn't work as well. But the good part about that was that I got a lot of free bacon during the time. So, I mean, the perks about when you do science that you like, there's always some ancillary product that you get to enjoy as a consequence of your research. But these 2 experiences got me thinking. It was like, hey, I really thought I wanted to go to medical school. I had my sights set on being involved in sports in some way, but I was finding these new passions regarding human health and the capabilities of pushing our existence and understanding these underlying mechanisms that drive our biology, whether it's our endocrine system, our ability to reproduce, or whether it's our ability to grow. I started figuring out, like, I didn't want to be behind a desk, or I wanted to see patients, but what I really cared more about was really understand or driving the research or driving the science behind some of the new discoveries that we get day in and day out. And this led me to Argonne National Lab, where I ended up working for a renowned microbiologist or microbiologist who led tons of initiatives. So I worked with people from Australia. I worked on projects in Antarctica. I worked on projects in Paris, France. We sent samples to space where we analyzed the effects of gravity on bacteria. And this is where I found like my niche. It was understanding human health from a bacterial standpoint, right? Because all our lives, when we think about microbiology, we've been told that, disease, it's bad. You need to take antibiotics, you need to clean surfaces, you need to sterilize all the time. And that basically bacteria, you have this adversive relationship with it. And what I found was that basically there are more bacteria in the human body than there are human cells. And we have a very dependent relationship on the bacteria that live in us or reside with us at any point in time. So one of the things that I ended up leading was that I wanted to see whether you could use this bacteria that lived on us and in us at any point in time, and whether you could use it as a forensic tool. And this was one of my main projects at Argonne National Lab. So what I did is I staged a crime. Basically, same way you respond to a burglary, but the thing is, we didn't collect any DNA. And unfortunately, because of the length of the talk, I can't really get into details. But what I can tell you is that I can track people without ever needing DNA, without having any chemical residue. I can not only tell who was there, but I can tell aspects about their lifestyle. So are they a vegetarian? Are they African American or Latinx or Caucasian? Do they have any type of health disparities? Do they have any type of underlying immune issues? And the reason being is that bacteria tell a lot about our overall health overall. So this kind of led me down this pathway of, hey, I know you want to be a medical practitioner. I know you want to go to med school, but there seems to be this other road that you seem to be enjoying a lot. Why not turn it into your discipline, and why not take all of your experiences in life, whether it be my time as a football athlete, a football player, whether it's my time working in labs as an undergrad or leading my own research at Argonne, it all centered around this one thing, and was understanding human health from a data standpoint. Can we extract the data about ourselves, and can we turn that into informative stories, which we then can make pose questions about or solve answers about various diseases. So to give you an example of how I look at bacteria, like I said before, you have basically as many microbial cells as you have human cells, and you give off about 30 million microbial cells per hour into your immediate environment. So you're shedding them off your skin, they're coming out of your nose, they're coming out of your mouth, you're depositing them onto various surfaces, but they're leaving clues about you because they have an innate kind of commensal relationship with you that not only protects you, but also aids in your physical development. So my questions then became is, what can we learn about our microbial cells? What can we then study? Are there ways to manipulate these microbial species that live on us to basically influence a physical state, meaning improve your overall physical fitness or reducing your insulin resistance? And as I got more into the literature, one of the things that I started noting was that the way the world is going at this point in time is that data is becoming one of the biggest things that we are now faced with. We have produced 95% of the world's data in the last 3 years. So things like Netflix, things like Facebook, even medicine that we're engaged with nowadays, all center around understanding the data and being able to make biological conclusions about that, or basically trends about them, so that we can make informed decisions. And this is where I became fascinated. And this is what I spent a lot of my time doing, building models, using artificial intelligence, using machine learning, building synthetic communities that act as if they were actually biological. And this led me to a number of different studies. So I've worked on cancer research. I've worked on allergies. I've worked on influenza, depression. I've done studies looking at alcohol addiction, anemia, renal disease, type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, all these things that I knew I was interested in, but I never thought I could do all at once. And what my experiences and being open to new ideas and new opportunities showed me was that I didn't really have to make a choice, because my overall interest is always wanting to understand the impact of human health, or how human health is influenced by the environment. And the thing that I really started locking in on is this thing called the microbiome, which is what I'm calling these microbial species that live on you or around you at any time. So my research now is becoming full circle. So I used to be an athlete, and now what I try to do is I try to understand human health effects, not only as it relates to physical exercise, but trying to personalize that health regimen. So for example, if you think about the early 80s, right? We were doing very crude methods. Penicillin was a one-size-fits-all for curing any type of antibiotic or any type of disease. And then we got to the point where we're now starting to be more diagnostic. We're starting to understand human health effects, where certain people are responding to a treatment, certain people don't. Some people have a reverse effects. They have some type of reaction. But now at the point where technology has caught up, we can now use DNA sequencing. We can now use metabolic profiling, tissue analysis, urine. We can use blood to all start to profile and type and group people into these categories where we can now treat everybody rather than saying, well, it may treat this group, it may not work, but we can start developing targeted approaches. So for example, I'm going to give you one example of the way that I've started to do this. So when it comes to what I call personalized medicine. So if you think about year 2000, might be too young for some of y'all, but we started mapping the human genome. We started understanding like things about introns and exons. And then from there, we went to the point of introducing the microbiome and understanding that there are these microbial species that live all around you. And now we're at the point where we're getting into precision medicine, where we can use a person's genome to find the most effective targeted treatment. So what we're now doing is that we're at the point now where we're using that 8-year gap of when we're introducing basically genomic research and then applying it to technology, where now you have things like MyFitnessPal and Noom and I can't think of the other health-based app, where we're using this information and we're understanding more about our biology, and we're using that to drive our decisions, drive our synthesis. And now we're at the point where we can start to basically take inputs. So things like your microbiome, your blood test, questionnaire, so how fit you are, your medical history, your body features, your food diaries. And we can get into a point of looking at personalized predictors where we're using artificial intelligence and machine learning to build these models. And then these models are now outputting basically aspects of our diets that actually help us versus those that hurt us. And we can now personalize not only our diets, we can personalize our training, we can personalize our hair care routine regimens to get maximum growth of the hair follicle itself. I mean, there's limitless possibilities. And what I did is that I've used this same theory against basically insulin, because there are a lot of people within the African-American community that suffer from obesity, weight gain. And what we're doing now is that we're now trying to use diets where we are effectively trying to decide whether diet A versus diet B is going to be more helpful. And we're taking those same algorithms. And what we're doing is we're trying to predict which diet, which combination is going to give us the optimal treatment. And in that same case, we can take that diet and then we can track it against a person's blood glucose, right? So we get spikes of when their glucose is going up, so on and so forth, but we can match that against the model that we predicted in the first place. And what we're able to do is we're able to get 99% accuracy of what we see happen versus what we predicted in the first place. And that is becoming an extremely powerful tool. So this has led me to my own research at UIC, where I'm now applying these same mechanisms to exercise. So think about Usain Bolt, right? Fastest man in the world. He has a profile that is very much exaggerated for any runner. But what we're also doing is that we're looking at the evolution and morphology of body composition, muscle mass, heart rate over time, and trying to understand what is causing those things to improve. Because if we can identify those those key components, we then can basically make mimics of that and start driving biology and synthesis together. So what I'm doing is that I'm taking a lot of the data that I'm getting from athletes. I'm taking data that I'm getting from specialized populations. I'm putting them into models. I'm building synthetic constructs. I'm then taking those synthetic constructs, so they may be a protein that we're designing, or a metabolite, or a gene that we're altering using CRISPR, or a microbe that mimics a microbe that's in the stomach. And we're putting those into mice, we're putting those into basically controlled human subjects, and we're looking at the health ramifications of that. And what that's allowing me to do is basically build a bigger, faster, smarter human being. And I'm able to use the biology that I was taking, well, my interest in my biology, as well as my interest in physical fitness, exercise, and athletics as a whole, to basically lead my lab and create my design. And what it's doing is that it's creating a niche that wasn't there before, but that is very unique and personal to me, meaning this is my life's work, and this life work reflects the problems that I feel that we face on a day-to-day basis. But what it's also doing is that it's creating opportunities for individuals who may be interested in exercise science, or kinesiology, or nutrition, or genomics, or computer science, or biology, or even chemistry, to now have a platform where they can use to study. And now I've gone from being an athlete who was only slightly interested in science to being a scientist who's now interested in understanding athletes, which is now basically fueling a lot of the work that I'm doing on a day-to-day basis. So with that, when it comes down to making a decision of what's right for you, there's three paths for STEM, right? There's industry, there's academia, and the government. And I'm not going to get into the bad parts about each one, but choosing one is ultimately dependent on the lifestyle that you want for yourself. So you have to be honest with yourself. Like, industry pays a lot of money. They have top-notch facilities, but they also have a very defined work schedule and a team culture where you're working on the greater good of a project, you're working on a product development, so on and so forth. People who want to go into government care more about the state of our facilities. They care about the diverse workforce, meaning you have scientists from all across the world in one area where you're now looking at one common goal overall, where it may be energy production, but it's also very competitive. Academia, if you care about your independence and you want to do what you want to do, it's pretty much, academia is where you want to be. If you want to work with students, that's why you go to academia. And the commonalities between this is that you have to understand the currency, what it requires to be successful in STEM. And it's four things, in my opinion. One, what are your scientific products? Do you have publications? Do you have patents? Do you have programs? We live in a publish or perish society, meaning that you have to put out work in order to be recognized. And those who put out the more compelling, well, not compelling, but those who put out more frequently are going to be called upon as experts within the field. It's also your community engagement. How many speaking are you being involved in conferences and workshops? Are you engaging in speaking events? And then it also comes down to money. Are you bringing in money, right? Regardless if you go to government, academia, industry, it's all about the dollar, right? Like, you have to be making money at some point. The more money you can bring in, the better off your chances are. And then it's leadership. Do you want to work with students? Do you want to work with a team of highly trained individuals? Do you want to work with politicians and administrators, so on and so forth? And if you take the time to just really understand and know what you want, going into industry, academia, and government will basically become a reality. And there are tons of internships that are out here for you as an undergrad, as a grad student. There are programs like GEM that will pay for grad school for minorities. So never feel like you have to do it by yourself. There are tons of people like myself, like the other individuals that are speaking today, who want to help, who want to be there for you because they see themselves in you. They understand what it takes to get through some of those hurdles. So never be afraid to be like, hey, what do I need to do to work with you or do things that you do? Because we will be happy to tell you. And with that, that is all that I have. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you so much, man. You got some the most interesting experiences, man. I think we were talking earlier in the breakfast about exposure and experiences. Exposure and experiences with our students. And I just think it's extremely powerful that you've had such a diverse experience, and it's led to now kind of truly defining what you're going to do moving forward. You didn't feel like you were forced to define it early. So could you just real quick, I'd like for you to kind of talk about that, because some of our students ask us so many questions about this. So how did you let kind of your experiences just happen and not feel like you had to rush into defining things so much?
Yeah. So the easiest part is I knew there was always more time to go back to school, right? So when I got my degree, when I got my bachelor's, I knew I could have got my master's, right, at any point in time. When I got my master's, I knew there was still an opportunity to get my PhD. So one of the things that I was really big upon was just not limiting myself to opportunities. If somebody was putting something in front of my face, try it out. I mean, there's nothing wrong with like saying, hey, let's give this a try. And if you don't like it, okay, cool. I mean, that's fine. You don't have to like everything, but not knowing if you're going to like it or not versus knowing exactly that, hey, this isn't for me, helps you narrow down exactly what you do like, right? So I had went through endocrinology and I worked in that field for quite a long time. And it got to the point where I was just like, yeah, this ain't for me. And then I got into stem cell regeneration. And what ended up happening is basically I was working on trying to look at this chemical and profile its genome. Well, I'm not sorry, but look at this gene and profile its genome. And a gentleman who was a computer science major had basically did my project for me over the course of 20 minutes for something I have been working on 7 months. And I was at the point, I was like, you know what? I am in the wrong field if he is able to do this in 20 minutes. And then it came down to just being open to opportunities. When I started at Argonne, it was a temp position, and it was as a tech. And then that turned into a lab manager, and then that turned into a technical director, and then that technical director role turned into an independent researcher, and that independent researcher role eventually turned into building my own platform, even though I didn't have my PhD. And then people recognized that I needed my PhD and were like, hey, we're going to pay for that. So we need you to go ahead and take care of that. Ooh, sorry, my camera messed up. So we need you to go ahead and pay for that. So that ended up turning into a career, and that career ended up turning into a passion that ultimately led me back to football in the first place. And it was like, had I not taken advantage of those opportunities, I never would have got to this point. I mean, who knows where I would be at this time.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Thank you for that feedback. We did have one last question that came through before we transition, which is if you know, with the experiences you have now, all the wonderful opportunities, all the accolades that you have, it seems to be going extremely well. But if there was something that you could do over, one or two things that you could do over knowing what you know now, what would that be at the 18, 19, 20-year-old self?
Oh yeah, I would tell myself, while the experiences at Argonne were great, and I mean, they helped catapult my career, I would have told myself, do your PhD earlier. Early on, I felt like I didn't need a PhD to be successful. I thought I could do it without one. And I started realizing that there are some blocks as far as career attainments that you want. In STEM, you need to have that piece of paper. And not having that piece of paper kind of hindered my progress. It stalled me for a little time. And I would just say, hey, just go get it, man. Like you know you're gonna do it anyways. Why wait and take the time when you know you got to go back to school anyway? You can't make it go any faster. You still got to learn the lessons. You're still gonna have trials and tribulations, but just do it. Like there's nothing to be scared of. And one of the bigger things that I would basically tell myself that I always question: don't choose the school, choose the mentor. The mentor makes or breaks your scientific learning process, but they also make or break your career. And a lot of things that I tell the students nowadays is, yeah, it's good to go to the Harvards and the Yales and the Princetons and the Stanfords and the MITs and so on and so forth. But what you need to know is that if you go look up every faculty at Stanford, at Yale, at MIT, at Harvard, they didn't come from there. They came from a different school. And those schools found those individuals and they recruited them because they had something to offer. So find the person who wants to develop you and cares about you more than anything else, and use that as a platform to launch your scientific career. Because if you launch your scientific career and you have development, you have the proper development, people will come find you, and they will do everything that they can to get you. So never, I mean, undergrad is cool, but when you get to grad school, find the person that cares about you and that's going to develop you as a person, because that's the most important part. I can't hear you,
Brian.
Thank you so much for those honest words, because it's very important that our students know that it is about that development and that mentorship and not just a name. So thank you for your transparency there. We always like to say, for those who have gone through the experiences that you have and reached the pinnacles that you have, thank you for your endurance. Because without that endurance, you wouldn't be able to be on the other side of it and tell wonderful stories and impact our students in such a positive way. So thank you for enduring all the challenges that you've gone through. And thank you for not allowing that one college injury to stop you from still leaving a massive impact in this world. So we just want to say on behalf of the LSMRCE team and the LSAMP family, thank you for your keynote today, and we look forward to staying connected with you in the future.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.
All right. All right, everyone. Well, we'll be transitioning similar to what Paul mentioned earlier with NALA from an alumni standpoint. We have every year, Dr. Shaw leads us through the Voices of Success panel. And so we would like to transition us over to our panel discussions where we have our members who have gone through the journeys that you all are embarking upon now, and they're able to give you that hands-on knowledge of what it takes to get to the other side. So without further ado, I'll transition over to Dr. Pam Shaw. You there with me, Dr. Shaw?
I am. I'm here. It took a while to get me there. How are you? Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for the introduction, Brian.
Hello, Dr. Shaw. Let's just do a real quick audio check with our three panelists. Mr. Pablo, you want to do a quick audio check there?
Good afternoon. This is Pablo Guzman. Did that go through? Did that go through?
It did.
Brian, will you unmute yourself, please?
Yep, you're good. You're good, Pablo. Rihanna?
Hi, this is Rihanna Hobson.
All right, and Miss Kayla?
Hi, this is Kayla Bolabrook.
Awesome. All right, Dr. Shaw, the show's yours.
Hi. Okay, as I said, good afternoon. And as Brian has stated, this has been something I have done for many years with the conference. And I will be honest, I think it's the most exciting part of the whole conference. As he said, I'm Dr. Pamela Shaw. I'm a part of the leadership team of the Lewis Stokes Midwest Regional Center of Excellence. And I have been working with the LSAMP program since 2003 in some format, virtually, distantly, or directly. It is my honor and my pleasure to bring you some voices of success from the LSAMP programs that we host across the US. I think you will find the stories of the three amazing panelists very fulfilling and rewarding. And I'm gonna make the whole panel all about them, not me. So I'm gonna allow each one of them to introduce themselves, starting, we'll start with Kayla, and we'll move to both Dr. Hobson and then to Dr. Guzman. And through that introduction, they'll tell you a lot about themselves, their backgrounds, things like that. And then once we get their introductions completed, we'll then have open questions that I have for them. I'll try to bring some things forward that may be of interest to not only the students, but even to the faculty and administrators in understanding how students view our programs and how it has helped them to be successful. And then once that's completed, hopefully we'll have a little time for questions from the audience. So we'll allow Kayla to go first. I did practice your last name.
Okay, let me hear it.
Bolabrook.
Bolabrook, correct.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. So I'll go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for allowing me to participate in the Voice of the Panel. I'm super excited. I also wanted to give a big shout out to Anik. As you see, I am wearing our Wiz Camp polos that I was provided when I was at UW Milwaukee. So just a quick background about myself. I did graduate with my bachelor's in mathematics in May 2020. So I do consider myself a COVID grad. And I only emphasize on that because as a college student, a lot of us really count on the day of walking across the stage. But with COVID pandemic that happened and everyone was, I shall say, forced to go home, we were kicked out of the dorms and we had to, find a safer place to be since we were on that lockdown. I wasn't able to walk across the stage. I had to finish my last semester as a math mathematics bachelor student at home. So it was sad at the time, but I was able to push through. As you see, I am here now. I do have a full-time job as a business analyst at FIS Global, which is a financial service technology company. But before I even got into the mathematics field, I did come into UW-Milwaukee as an actuarial science / finance major. When I first joined college, I was in the mindset of I need to get in and get out. I needed to do what I had to do to get the degree that I needed to do in order to get the money that I needed to make when I graduated to pay off my student loans. And I must say that was a mindset that slowed me down a little bit. And I as a mathematics students that started as an actuarial science, if you all know what an actuarial science field is, it's one of the top fields in the United States. It's really good for taking exams, making sure once you have those exams, you can reach a high payment. You'll get paid a lot, but taking those classes and being a part of the actuarial science program wasn't the best for me at the time. It was very hard. So then I ended up being a part of math club. I met a couple other math students, and then I even met Anik, who got me into the WisCamp program. I also met another professor named Miss Paradise, who also inspired me to apply for WisCamp, because at that time when I was struggling in the actuarial science program, I didn't really know exactly what I wanted to do, where I wanted to go, because again, I had that mindset of I just needed to come to school to make money in order to pay off my student loans. But I think that was the wrong mindset to have, because you can't really go to school focusing on the money that you're trying to make. You need to go to school with something that you have a passion for, something that you're willing to study all night for, willing to wake up in the morning, going to work, making sure that you have the study hours and you're able to focus in class for your tests and homework assignments. But I won't get too deep into that. So I came in as an actuarial science / finance major. It didn't turn out as the best. Around my sophomore year, I joined the WisCamp program with, of course, the support of those professors and faculty that I had. Once I joined the WisCamp program, my path was open from there. I ended up joining a WisCamp Excel program, research program at Madison for a summer, met a couple more STEM students, came back that following year, my junior year, joined the math club. I also participated in a fraternity, a business fraternity. So I ended up getting more involved in different programs that led me to understand what is it something that I truly wanted to do. And that's what led me to math. I met a lot of great math students, a lot of great math professors that had a lot of support in me. I was going through a lot personally, and with that support, it allowed me to focus on what was my goal. What did I want to do when I graduated? Where did I want to go? So around my senior year of my undergrad, I ended up becoming the president of Math Club, which was super excited. I love putting things together. I love coordinating things. I realized math was really fun. It was fun hanging out with all the math students. I even was able to hang out with some engineer students. So I graduated with math degree. I'm a business analyst right now, and I still do some coordinating. I still kind of manage, and I have some leadership skills that I practice at my job. So now I'm on my way to participating in, not participating, I'm now on my way on getting my MBA with the concentrations of data analytics, and I will start my master's program within a week. So I'm super excited, but just wanted to emphasize on that. I started off as a STEM student. I started off thinking that I wanted to be an actuarial science with the mindset of, oh, it's about the money, before realizing that it's not always about the money, it's about the passion. You have to have a passion, you have to have a focus to complete your undergrad. Having an undergrad in STEM is very challenging. It is very hard. You have to stay focused, you have to stay motivated, but it's possible. And now I'm going down the business path. So it's super exciting. And yeah, so I'm here. So I'll be going in. I graduated with my undergrad at UW-Milwaukee, and I will be getting my master's at UW-Parkside 100% online, which is a great opportunity, and I'm super excited.
Thank you. All right, Dr. Hobson.
Hi. So I am Brianna Hobson. I'm excited about being here. Always excited to get to talk to fellow LSAMP recipients and the professors that are a part of it, because LSAMP played such a large part in who I am today. So guess go all the way back to the beginning of this career in my story. So I went to undergraduate at Texas Southern University. I mean, I almost feel like I didn't have a choice, but I wouldn't have chose anything else because I was the youngest of 6 siblings, and all 6 of us went to Texas Southern University and graduated from Texas Southern University. My mother even has her bachelor's and master's from Texas Southern. So in undergraduate, I was a chemistry major. I joined, I guess officially when I put in my application for TSU, I was a biology major. But then I decided that I liked biology, but I didn't like it as much as I liked chemistry. So, I mean, when I started my first semester, I was officially a chemistry major. And I came in as a member of LSAMP, and I heard about LSAMP from my sister, who is the 5th of the 6. She was an LSAMP recipient. And so we spent a lot of time, and her major was computer science. So I spent a lot of the same core courses as little Rhea. That's who I was to everybody. And so I was in her shadow, but she didn't choose my same major. So eventually I got away from that. But lots of time in the LSAMP, we had the LSAMP lab, and my LSAMP advisor, Ms. Talbot, who I love and still am in contact with regularly. I just did their freshman orientation for LSAMP not too long ago this semester when they brought in their incoming freshmen for this year. We had our LSAMP lab where we spent our time, and I remember plenty of overnight study sessions. Now I can't even stay up past 9, but I remember so many overnight study sessions there in that LSAMP lab, you know, going through all night and then taking a test in the morning and just not even realizing how we did it all. But that support system that we had within each other, the cohort that we came in with, and the more senior LSAMP recipients, I mean, it was a great time. And looking back, I mean, wouldn't change anything about that, about the people that I was in it with. And I think that's what pushed me through, is those people that I was in it with. But when I came in LSAMP, I was a chemistry major on the pre-med track. So I wanted to be a doctor. I mean, my grandfather called me a doctor. He was a veteran, and I used to go with him to the VA hospital, and he would introduce me as, you know, this is my grandchild, you know, Brianna, and she's gonna be a doctor one day. You can just call her doctor. And I remember like saying, well, I have to be a doctor. This is what I'm gonna do. You know, I knew that's what I wanted to be. But my senior year, and I was even at Texas Southern, I also was a member of MSAP, which is the Early Medical School Acceptance Program for the University of Texas in Galveston. So I was a member of MSAP, and I was ready. I was going into medical school. I'd done a summer there, and I did the summer program where you do the bridge programs in the summer where you actually get to go and take medical school classes and shadow doctors and get ready for like medical school type interviews. And so I did both summers of that, because you do that your last 2 summers of school. So I did that. But at the same time, LSAMP, you know, had us go, and part of it was going to conferences. And so one of the conferences that my LSAMP coordinator had us go to was the SACNAS conference. And I went to this SACNAS conference, and I met all these chemists and scientists, and they had all the answers to everything. I was like, wait a minute, I knew I wanted to be a doctor. This could not be exciting me. I knew I wanted to be an MD. You know, this stuff can't be exciting me. I mean, what am I doing here? Even though my background was in chemistry, I always was focused on, you know, medical school. But through shadowing with those doctors in Galveston, they were all great doctors. But I realized all they did was tell people they had problems. You know, they actually literally, you know, kind of talked through with people, got their symptoms, went and looked on their database and came back and was like, yep, this is what you have. This is what you can take. You know, this is what it is. But it wasn't coming from, you know, let's try to why is this the problem? They weren't answering any of the questions that were fulfilling for me. And so after that SACNAS conference, I was like, oh man, I don't think I would be able to do what I thought I was going to do my whole life. Here I am. I think I need to have the answers. And so then I got back home and I was like, I'm applying to graduate school. I'm going to be a PhD. I'm going to find the answers. I'm going to find the cures. I'm going to do it. The cliche thing, but that's what I'm going to do. So I got home and I was like, well, let's look at universities that have bridge to doctorate programs, because I know that's an opportunity for me since I have LSAM. And I decided to break the mold. I wasn't going to get my master's at Texas Southern because I could only get a master's in chemistry because they didn't have a PhD program. So I said, okay, may as well go outside of the state then. So I decided to go to Oklahoma State. And in that year, they actually didn't have a cohort for the LSAM Bridge to Doctorate, but I got other fellowship money from my university to be able to, adjust for that time when I didn't have it. And then by the time they had a new cohort, I was able to be a part of it. So then that transitions into where I actually got my PhD. So I went straight from my bachelor's at Texas Southern into my PhD at Oklahoma State University. And there, my PhD, my advisor, like the keynote said, man, picking a good advisor, oh, that makes the world a difference, because my advisor, he is the best. And I remember going through and talking with different, talking to different advisors. And so remember, I wanted to find an answer. So you knew that I was going there and I was going to do medical related research. Totally didn't, because all of the advisor that I was excited about, because he did medical related research, was retiring and he wasn't taking any new students. So that was off the table. The other advisors who did medical related research really didn't align with my interest and didn't have the best track record with students, to be honest. So I was like, like I said, I'd rather pick a good advisor and pick something I'm interested in than to go with that. So that decision changed the whole, the whole future of my life, and what from what I thought it would be, even more than now. I didn't go to medical school. Now I'm not doing medical related research. Now I actually did. So what my research actually focused on is, my PhD is in organic and polymer chemistry, and it focused on making melanin synthesized small molecules and polymers. And so we started off with actually using vanilla bean extract to take that and build it into small molecules and polymers to be used in OLEDs and solar cells. And I was actually one of my advisor's first few graduate students. So my research kind of was the foundation of the lab. And now they are off getting all type of grants and doing all type of great things, and have all of these collaborators. But that's what my research focused on there at Oklahoma State. So I went on there and I was there for 5 years. I had a daughter while I was at Oklahoma State. I had a daughter in my 3rd year of graduate school. And then after that, as I finished up, I applied for, first I was kind of thinking, I love education, in that field. But for me, I know I love to teach, but I don't like to teach if teaching has to be split between teaching and research. And if I have to deal with the politics of, getting tenure, that will take away from my ability to truly teach and focus on teaching. So I said, I'm going to go with industry. So wanted to get a postdoc that was more geared towards that. So I applied for the National Research Fellowship, and I was awarded the National Research Fellowship with the Air Force Research Academy in Colorado Springs. Met a great advisor in that, but didn't spend much time there because I got a job offer, and that research advisor told me, go, you don't pass up this. It seems like it's something that they want to build you and promote you. And so I transitioned into that. And so I started with my current position now I work at an agricultural company, as now the lead scientist at this company here near Mobile, Alabama. And what we do is, I say, crop solutions. So we do crop solutions here. And I've been here since 2018. And now I have 13-month-old boy-girl twins. So 3 kids all along this STEM process, and a husband that I married back in 2013. Before all that, I forgot about him. Yeah, and a husband. So yes, but that's about me. Sorry, I may have took a little bit more than my time, but I will give it over now.
Thank you so much,
yeah.
Dr. Guzman.
Thank you, Dr. Shaw. Just want to start off by saying thank you so much for the opportunity to be able to participate in this event today. I can tell that we have about 64 attendees here. And I recall when I was an undergraduate on a Saturday morning, I was probably asleep at this time. So I really appreciate everybody who's on the call and who's taking the initiative and has a discipline to be on the call, right? So it's very humbling to also be on this virtual panel with 3 amazing and strong, talented women. I can't expand on how humbling it is, and it's just a really great joy for me to be here. I'm not really so good at talking about myself. Everybody here is quite a bit younger, so I'm starting to feel, oh man, I think I've been around the block a little bit, or a few times now. So there's I won't go through everything thus far, but there is a short write-up on the site for this engagement that folks could look into. But in just a quick summary, I have a very huge blessing and opportunity to serve our current and future warfighters for the U.S. Army Combat Capabilities Development Command Army Research Laboratory. And so this is something that's very near and dear to my heart, and I've always had the mindset of serving others from as long as I can remember. In the capacity that I serve here at the moment, what I do is that I'm lead the execution for enduring collaborations with HBCUs and MIs, and I'm also dual-hatted, serving the Department of Defense through the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Research and Engineering, serving as a program execution lead for their currently 6 research centers of excellence. So those centers are a huge opportunity to increase capability and capacity within our HBCUs and our MIs, and I'm just really thankful to have this opportunity to be involved with those centers, and I can discuss those at a later time. I think I'm really curious about getting to the question and answer section, so I won't speak too long here, but I'll just say that I'm a proud product of the Chicago South Side. I went to Olive Harvey Community College to begin my undergraduate education, and then transferred into Chicago State University, where I've had again, a huge blessing just to have Dr. Leroy Jones serve as my mentor since I was at Chicago State in 2002. And he has been a critical and important champion in my life till today. So almost everything that I have done thus far, he has been involved in some way, and I'm really thankful for him. After leaving Chicago State University, I was, as an LSM scholar, I went to State University of New York at Buffalo, SUNY Buffalo, as a NSF Bridge to the Doctorate Fellow. So was really thankful for programs of that type to be in place to give opportunity to underrepresented people to continue their education. So went to SUNY Buffalo for grad school, and after SUNY Buffalo, which is in Western New York, so left Chicago, moved to Western New York, then went to grad school in Atlanta, Georgia, which was probably one of the best opportunities in terms of learning about different places in the country. So moved south to Atlanta, went to school at Emory, and then after Emory, hightailed it to the West Coast where it wasn't so humid, to California. And so went to do a postdoc there at Caltech, and then came over to the East Coast to have this opportunity to serve our warfighters with DEFCON ARL. So I'm gonna stop there because, like I said, I want to really get into the question and answer session here, and I'll get my email available for folks that want to engage with me a little bit more. But I think I'm gonna stop there, Dr. Shaw, and we can continue.
Okay, well, you actually led into a question that I want to ask when you start talking about Dr. Jones, because I think each of you all talked about your advisor in some format. So maybe, especially for the students, how did you make the selection of the advisor that you had as a part of the LSAM program? And then maybe lead into that, and some of you have already said it, how that has or will affect your current career choice and future career choices. So anybody, you can jump in. Let's start with you, Dr. Guzman. How did you select Dr. Jones?
So yeah, you're making me go back now. Like I said, about 15 years now. But I think it was just that when someone truly cares about you, you're gonna know. It's just plain and simple. There isn't a recipe to follow. There isn't some job book to follow. You just know who really truly cares. And I will kind of just throw this out there for people to hear, because I think it's important. Communication and information are really important. Knowledge is power. I truly believe that. There's a lot of faculty that, and just people in general, they'll talk the talk, but few really walk the walk, right? And it's an incredibly challenging situation when you have people that you're trying to guide through their early stages of their life, right? That have a lot of things going on that are personal. There's a lot of uncertainty, with the unknown. And so it's incredibly time consuming. And so I see Miss Kayla, I think she had a response here, so I want to turn it over to her. But yeah, that's it for me. Over.
Thank you so much.
I agree with Dr. Guzman says, you know once you meet that person. So for me, my advisor was, so like I said in the beginning, I started off as an actuarial science / finance double major. So I was originally in the business school. So I had an advisor, but the advisor was mainly just to make sure I had the right classes to stay on track. Eventually, I'm a Native American, so I ended up being able to find an advisor in the Native American office, and she became my advisor for the rest of my undergrad. Her name is Miss Celeste. So I love Miss Celeste. She was amazing. She helped me transition from the actuarial science program to the math program. She was also there for me pretty much every day on campus. Whenever I was having a stressful night, or whenever I wasn't able to complete an assignment, or I couldn't get my mind right, I would walk right to her office, sit right there in the lobby and say, hey, Celeste, let's just talk about something else. So she was more than an advisor to me. But I also did mention 2 other very important people that helped me during my undergrad. The first one was Miss Paradise. She was a teacher for one of the Native American classes that I took, which was selected by Miss Celeste. So Miss Celeste helped me get into that class. I met Miss Paradise. As I was going through some of my personal issues, I got super close with Miss Paradise, who then led me to applying for the WisCamp program, which then led me to meeting Miss Anik. So it ended up all tying together. I had the advisor that I'm really close with, and then I ended up meeting Miss Paradise, which then led me to meeting Miss Anik, and then I stayed with the program. And like he was saying, when you will know once you have that connection. And meeting these advisors, now I have Miss Paradise and Miss Anik that I call my mentors. They have helped me through so much. They not only helped me with school, they helped me with my personal life. They helped me understand my purpose. So you can have an advisor that helps you with your classes, but you can also have an advisor that can become your mentor, or who can at least lead you towards the path of finding that mentor. And I think that is very, very important as an undergrad, to have someone that you can go to that can understand, you know, I'm trying my best in my classes. I don't know what else I can do. I'm waking up, like Brianna said, I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but then I have to wake up at 7 in the morning to go to tutoring. You're doing everything that you can to make sure that you're passing the classes, but sometimes you can feel like you're still missing a piece. And when you have those professors, those mentors that you can go to, it will help a lot. It helps push you through to the end. It helps you give you some reassurance that, you know, it's possible. You're not the only one. Everyone is going through this. You are not the only one that is waking up early, going to bed late. Maybe you don't have any weekends anymore, but it's possible. It is possible. And I'm very grateful. I'm very blessed to be able to have those mentors in my life. And I still keep in touch with Anique. I still keep in touch with Miss Paradise and Miss Celeste. They were very important in my journey.
Thank you. Did you have any additional comments, Dr. Hobson?
Okay, I'll keep it short.
Okay.
I will say Dr. Nelson, my advisor in graduate school was Dr. Toby Nelson. And what I looked for in an advisor was, I know my values outside of research, and I looked for somebody whose values aligned with mine. I knew I wanted to have a family. I had this boyfriend that I knew I was going to marry. I wanted to have a family. And I said, I want someone who values family, because, and so I don't want someone who, if my child is sick, he's like, I don't care, you know, be here, you know, and so for me, I looked for someone who shared on the values that I knew were going to be my top values. And that's what he always said, Dr. Nelson. And at that point, we didn't have kids, but everybody jokes and says the Nelson group is where you go to have kids. Because by the time we graduated, we all ended up with children. Nobody had planned that, but like 5 of us all have children now. 2 sets have twins post that. Even now that we're gone, we're still having kids on the same schedule. But that was what I looked for. And like you said, someone who cared and someone who I thought, you know, would have my best interest at heart. And I think those values also in turn show the type of person he is. And so that's why I chose Dr. Nelson.
Okay. I'm going to ask one more question, and then I'll give an opportunity for questions from the audience. Dr. Guzman, you may not like this one because it's going to make you go back a little further. What would you tell a freshman you if you could go all the way back to that first day when you were getting ready to start your undergraduate education? What's that advice that you would tell you if you could? Anybody can start.
Go first. I would say give yourself some grace. You know, like, gosh, you don't have to worry so much. And Kayla kind of hinted at it too. You're not the only one struggling. I mean, because, you know, when I tell that story, I'm the youngest, I'm 6 of 6 to go to college. You're probably like, oh, it was easy for her. It was embedded in her to go to college. No, I still struggle. You know, yes, my parents had expectations, but I still struggle, you know, and to know that everybody is struggling, and to know that I wasn't alone in the struggle, even though I had my LSAM members. Sometimes I would get in my mind and I would say, this test was hard. Maybe it was hard only for me. You know, I you know, and I had a habit of that even in high school. In high school, I always tell this, because in high school, we have the tax test, which is our state mandated test that we have to take. And you have to take it now. I started college when I was 15 years old. So I graduated from high school in 2 years instead of 4. But when I took the junior test that you have to take in high school to graduate, and one of those, the science test, I took it my freshman year, warranted, but still, I didn't pass it on my first try. And so now here I am, a chemist with a PhD, and I didn't pass that science tax test on the first try. And I had to retake it. But I remember I had a science teacher who told me then, hey, you just got to do the work. And so I wish I could tell myself, do the work, but give yourself some grace and know you're not alone.
I would say one thing that I'm still learning now, but I would And I have family members that are in school. I have younger family members that are in school, and I give them the same advice: self-care. It is very, very, very important, especially as a STEM student, I believe, to make sure that you're taking care of yourself mentally, physically. It's one of the things that I'm very passionate about. I have struggled with anxiety for years. Not many people are very open about that. So being an undergrad, I was always nervous to say, hey, I'm nervous to take this test. I'm sweating. I can't think. You know, you're studying for hours a day. Then all of a sudden that piece of paper comes in front of you and you're like, I just forgot everything. I just studied for 6 hours and I forgot everything. I can't even take this, because your anxiety starts to build up. But taking care of yourself, knowing what calms you down, how to mentally relax, understanding, like Dr. Renee said, it's very important to just know that you're not alone. Try to get the work done. Know that the end is near. There is a bright light at the end. If you can get your mind mentally there, if you can motivate yourself personally, I think it will help you as a freshman, as a sophomore, as a junior. It will help you after college. It will just help you everywhere, everything you do. Self-care is very important. Without your mind there, without a strong mindset, it's going to be hard. So you have to have faith in yourself. You got to believe that you can do this, and also find those people that are around you that support you. Like, again, they're faculty mentors, friends in the same field, friends that are outside the field, anyone that you can go to when you're stressed, when you're, having a bad day. And also, I want to just point out, even talk about the good days, even talk about the positive times. Try not to focus on the negatives all the time. Focus on the positives. What did you put into the work? Those 6 hours, yeah, it was a long 6 hours, but at the end of the day, you completed them. You're still alive. We're still here. I think self-care is one of the main advices that I provide to everyone.
Okay, you got to go way back.
Yeah, no, I think what's been commented on it is really great. And with Ms. Bullerbrook, I think self-care really resonates a lot with me, and that's also one of my big ones for people that I mentor now. The one comment that I would tell myself, and it actually goes back even further than just freshman year. It actually starts probably, I would say probably kindergarten, to be honest with you. And this is one of the challenges that I have, and I see that this engagement here is being recorded, so this following statement will be there forever. But I think, one of the things that I personally struggled with is, it's a really huge part of my interest with the development of my own children, is ensuring that they have a solid and concrete foundation with the material that they're learning now, so that they don't struggle later. And everything just builds up, year after year. And that was probably one of the biggest challenges for me, not having a solid foundation. And I would blame that. If I was going to point a finger, it would be at myself. And particularly because, again, being very open and honest, probably among the 4 on this call at the moment that have the cameras on, I'm not the strongest academic person. I'm like, it's not my love, and I'll just be very honest with that. Like, I like the science and everything, but it's not my passion, right? But we all do things sometimes, there's other drivers that are very important, right? And so, for example, one of the drivers the main one that made me be able to finish my PhD was my kids. If it wasn't for them, I for sure would have quit. Definitely would have quit, but just trying to set a good example, and now doing what I'm doing. And if I'm going to go there with the poor leadership that we've seen, at the executive level within the country, it's incredibly important that we are educated, because that education gives us a seat at the table, and that's really what's important for the 57 or so that are on the call. I'm not saying everybody has to get a PhD. That's not a message that I'm saying, but education is definitely extremely important because of that opportunity to lead and change things, because like I said, COVID has been really difficult on everybody. And if we would have had better leadership, I'm very, very confident that things would have been a lot better than what we've had thus far. So I'll get off the soapbox there, and that's it for me. Over.
Okay. Now it's time for the audience to act. Questions. Does anyone have any questions? I would love it if, I don't know if this is possible, if you could either unmute and do it or put your question in the chat, and then we'll look at it there. But we do have a little time for that. If no one has questions, I can give more. Oh.
Yeah, we should be able to unmute when we identify the hand raised, Dr. Shaw.
Okay.
See if we can.
I see something going. Let's see, is anything in the chat? Okay.
So if you would like to bring your device off of mute, just raise your hand.
Hey, Brian, out on the Hoover app, there is a question in the Q&A. It is directed towards Dr. Goodsman, and it says, as a transfer student, how did you decide which school you wanted to transfer to?
Great question. So I transferred quite a bit. So I'll give it like a very brief on each of the transfers. So starting from Olive Harvey to Chicago State, that was definitely proximity based. Going from Chicago State to SUNY Buffalo, that was a result of the LSM program. So there was an opportunity there for me. So that was an opportunity based transition. Transitioning from SUNY Buffalo to Emory University, that was a result of my graduate, my graduate advisor, while I was at SUNY Buffalo, he was recruited by Emory University. And one of the things that I'm really thankful for him for doing, and really just showed his greatness, was that part of the agreement was that he was allowed to take his students from Buffalo, the ones that wanted to go to Emory. And so that was the result of that transition. And then with the transition to Caltech, that was a result of my undergraduate mentor, Dr. Leroy Jones, who really played a huge role in putting me on the map for me to be able to work in the lab of a Nobel laureate at Caltech. So those were the transitions.
Okay. Any more questions out there for us, Deb?
Not on the Q&A, Dr. Shaw.
Okay, well, I'm gonna kind of wrap it up here. I think there were several themes that I saw. If you listen to me, it sounds as if that old adage that it takes a village is certainly true. I often try to tell students, you can't always do everything by yourself. I heard things of family and mentors and advisors, and just the fact that you aren't the only one. So it takes other people, peers, who are sometimes going through the exact same things you may be going through. That village is really, really what seems to have supported all of us, because I'm in that same boat. And Dr. Guzman, you don't want me to go all the way back. It would be a long way. But the other thing that I like that you said was the educational piece. I think oftentimes we tell students that, getting your education, but the doors that open just for that solid stability of having the education certainly opens up so many avenues for you. And I'm not necessarily saying everyone has to have a PhD or any doctorate, but the reality of some level, even if it's an associate's degree in an area that you enjoy, hey, if that's what you want, but you need some level of training or something, because being at the table or being in the room is so important. So with that said, unless anyone else has any questions, I want to thank everybody, especially my panelists, my voices of success this year. were outstanding. And this is continuously one of the best segments of the conference. And with that said, Brian, I'll punt it back to you.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Shaw. Thank each of our panelists. Thank you for your transparency. We really want that honesty for our students. I think that is one of the most important things that we can do is as we have navigated our careers and our academic journeys, it's so easy to have the highlight kind of aspect of us be what people see the most, right? They talk about the social media side of it, right? If you go to your Instagram or your LinkedIn and all these things, it's like life is perfect for this person. And they have no clue, you know, just what it takes to have gotten to certain points and even what some of the current challenges you may be facing are. And so I just really want our students to know that you are not alone. You are not alone. You are not alone. You may be going through something right now and it really feels like you're the only one. And you will be shocked that many of us have gone through it. And some of us might still be going through it with you because we're humans, right? And that's what I want you to realize is as much as we do our math and sciences, we're human beings first. And that is one of the most beautiful things that I think the panel does for us every year is it humanizes everything that we're talking about. It just makes it so genuine because you're looking at people who sat in those seats who were just as nervous before a test. Oh my gosh. Listen, I always like to say this joke. Once you've graduated and you're like, say you're done with school and you're like, you've made up your mind, I'm done. There's gonna be nightmares that you have that about college that are gonna happen like 10 years later, 5 years later. And you're gonna have a nightmare that you got to attend a class for like a whole semester or something. And then all of a sudden you have to take the final.
Yes. Can I say one last thing?
Please.
I just wanted to mention one last thing. I thought about this. Again, I have family that's interested in going to school and things like that. And I'm all for education. I agree with Dr. Guzman. Whether you're planning for a master's or a PhD or even associates, education is so important. But one other advice that I truly wanted to provide is internships. People are always thinking that you have to have an internship around junior year, senior year, so I can prep for my career after I graduate. I've learned in my undergrad, you can start your internship even in high school. It doesn't even have to be related to what you're going to school for. It doesn't even have to be something that you're really interested in. But having an internship, having all those skills, whether it's soft skills or, science skills, math skills, whatever skills it is, having multiple internships or having an internship as soon as you can is going to help you build your, what I'm going to call a personal resume. It's going to help you build who you are. For example, I'm a STEM student, but I applied as a business analyst. Those are kind of two different things in a way. I'm not using my math skills as much as I am at my job, but I am using my math soft skills that I learned. I am using, even if I have the hardest problem and that one problem can take me an hour, I know how to battle that. I know how to fight through that. So I would truly, truly recommend if you can apply for an internship, whether it's a part-time internship, whether it's a summer internship, if you're a STEM student and you wanted to do an internship in arts, anything that gets your personal resume built up and has you and teaches you some soft skills about yourself, I would say that's another advice that I wanted to provide.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Just a little bit of housekeeping. So we are preparing ourselves for the next few hours for two different type of sessions. We have our poster presentations first, and you'll be able to navigate that through your agenda. And then we also have our exhibitor fair. And I highly recommend you attend as many sessions in the exhibitor fair as you can. You literally never know that one introduction, that one connection, what that one institution or that one place of employment could put you on a special path and impact your entire life. As Carmel mentioned about the internship for Eaton in May 16th, which was my birthday back in 2005, I started my first internship with Eaton Corporation. And now come full circle, look at the partnership that we have with LSMRCE, and my career went to some very special places because of that one internship that I did when I was in college. So I just really want you guys to always have the excitement and the hope and the belief that all it takes is one. All it takes is one. And it could be one opportunity, one introduction, one connection, one something could literally change your life. And could now, for me, not only did it change my life, it put my children in a position that now STEM is just like science and math is what they know. My daughter's 14 months and my son's 5. It's what they know, right? And it's not something that is foreign to them like it was to me when I was in high school. So I just really want you guys to know that it doesn't take a whole lot. It might just take one. And so we have an afternoon here at the conference. We have a sessions tomorrow. So please don't lose sight that it's not too late. That one could be coming for you today, and it could be coming for you tomorrow. But what I will tell you is this: it won't happen by happenstance. It will happen because of the position that you put yourself in. A lot of people say, oh, people get lucky in life. Well, some of us put ourselves in position for luck. And that's what I challenge you for, is put yourself in a position where some positive things can happen for you. And we have that opportunity today as we support those who are doing their poster presentations, and good luck to those who are presenting. And then also for those who will be attending our exhibitor fair. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us on day 2 of our conference. And we look forward to a exciting next 3 hours. And then we do have some wonderful sessions at the 4 p.m. Eastern time slot for you as well. And we also have kind of our signature item, which is the coded bias discussion from the film review. So if there's not anything else, I just wanted to say thank you. Also, sorry, there was one quick announcement. Please join our LinkedIn page. I don't know if Cho was able to send out the mass communication, but we'll make sure we send out another one. But we want to make sure you guys stay connected with us. And then also leverage, and I keep saying this at every session, leverage the attendee section of the Whova app. So go to your Whova app, click attendees, and there's so many ways that you can connect with people. Whova has done a really good job of kind of breaking them down into smaller groups that are, it's designed to go into groups that are designed specifically based off of your profile that you created for Whova, so you can connect with people. So just wanted to put those 2 things out there, and look forward to having an awesome day. And you guys take care, and thank you so much. Bye.